So this is Harald. Right now I'm giving a testimonial for Scott Oldford. I've been working with him as a part of his accelerator program for the past 2 years. It's about 2 years, or we're closing in on 2 years. And working with Scott has been a absolute bliss. So when I started with Scott, I was running my own agency. I was doing about 10K, maybe peaked at 12K a month, but it was a lot of one-on-one work, and it was exhausting. And now, I believe it was last month, we did about 60 to 70K in revenue. So I'm pretty much, for the past 1.5 to 2 years working with Scott, I've been able to 7x the monthly revenue that I have in my business. And the good part is we're growing continuously month to month. So as I mentioned, when I started working with Scott, I was doing agency and working as a marketing agency for various clients. But what I then was able to do with advice and help from Scott was go from an agency model to a model where I launched my own high ticket program, where I built a framework off of the knowledge that I have. And since about 12 months ago, I was able to bring that program to 70 plus clients in that high ticket program. So it has really transitioned how I work, the business model, and how I truly have been able to achieve freedom in terms of time. I'm not as limited to the framework of an agency. I'm transitioned to a program that has allowed me to be working way less and increase the profitability of the business as a whole. And the key takeaway that I've gotten from working with Scott is he's very direct. He gives you precise, direct advice. And this advice has pretty much helped me realign and come back into alignment in terms of what I do. So sometimes I've gone off track, and Scott has been able to recalibrate me back into alignment so that I've been able to gain momentum. And going into this 2 years ago, I thought more equals more. But what I figured working with Scott is less equals more. It's just those few tips, the few components that you need to implement that will really enable you to gain momentum in a way that you otherwise wouldn't been able to. And that's definitely been my case, that I've been able to today build a completely different momentum that I've been able to do in the past with the previous model, all thanks to working with Scott and getting his advice along the way in both developing the high ticket program, but also implementing it and launching it and running it. So working with Scott has been a bliss. I'm truly lucky to have been able to work with him for the past 2 years. And if you're considering working with Scott, I highly recommend it because he knows what he's doing. So that was my testimonial. I can highly recommend Scott, and it has been life-changing for me.